First Samuel, if you would, chapter 12, verse 23 and 24. Verse 23 and 24. As for me, far be it from me that I should sin against the Lord by failing to pray for you, and I will teach you the way that is good and right. But be sure to fear the Lord and serve him faithfully with all your heart. Consider what great things he hath done for you. Consider what great things he has done for you. Learning how to embrace change. Learning how to embrace change. This is a touchy subject for many people because it is, by nature, many of us resist or have a hard time dealing with change. There are some natural changes that will happen in the course of a lifetime, like going from young to old. There will be times when we might find ourselves employed and then unemployed, married or divorced. Change is an inevitable part of life. Even the seasons minister to us about change. But change can bring much good and bring opportunity and hope if we learn how to embrace change. Comedian Richard Pryor years ago starred in a powerful movie called JoJo Dancer. In this movie, he courageously and unashamedly portrayed and revealed the events of his own life, beginning with his childhood as the son of a prostitute, having an abusive father, and struggling with drug addiction. In desperation, he attempts to end his life, but fortunately he was unsuccessful. Now, as the movie moves forward, while in a hospital bed, he has an encounter with his conscience. He has an encounter with his conscience which causes him to take a serious look at the events of his life and the circumstances and decisions that had up to this point shaped his life. JoJo sees himself now from the perspective of his higher self, a perspective that now embraces a bigger picture. From time to time, we have to reflect on our lives in such a way that we look with the eyes of our higher self, that we might be able to see the big picture. Because in the midst of all that we go through, sometimes we fail to see what God is doing or steering us toward in the process. And sometimes all it takes is being able to see from the big picture that will make all the difference in our lives. For JoJo, it did. And it can do the same for you and I. For if we are to see the big picture, we're going to have to rise above our past and be ready for what God is about to do in our lives. And so in our spiritual vitamin, we find Samuel in his farewell speech to a people in transition. If you know the text, no longer is the leadership of Samuel required. The reins of power have now been given to Saul. The people are transitioning from a theocracy to a monarchy. You need to learn how to appreciate transition or learn how to embrace change, because change can be good if you let it. Transition can bring with it not only uneasiness, but in a greater sense, new hope and new optimism. That is, if you, like JoJo Dancer, have learned how to embrace change and learn from your past. Moving from the known to the unknown can be challenging and yet can be quite rewarding. And as we look at the words of Samuel, the biggest reward is in the considerations of what role God has played in your life, even up to this point of transition. Samuel says, consider. In other words, have you given much thought to how you got to this place in time? Have you given much thought to how you were able to make it? Have you given much thought to who may be positioning you for something better in your life? Consider what great things he has done. God has done so much for you that you need not allow yourself to be overtaken by your uneasiness concerning the unknown. Yes, I know, even with transitioning from job to job, there is a certain level of uncertainty. The people that you'll find yourself working with, will it work out? Will the management be easy to deal with? Etc., etc., etc. Yes, uneasiness is an inevitable part of change. However, change and the uneasiness that accompanies it should not cause you to be so overwhelmed that you can't appreciate that this season of your life could be opening you up to something bigger and better. Consider what great things he has done. And further, let us consider what great things he yet will do. You know, some people like to make predictions for the new year. For those of you who may be in transition, I'm going to give you my top 10 predictions for you. The Bible will still have all the answers. Prayer will still work. The Holy Spirit will still move. God will still inhabit the praises of his people. There will still be messengers of God who will be his mouthpiece to speak words of encouragement into your life. There will still be songs of Zion that will give your spirit joy. There will still be an outpouring of blessings from God to his people. There will still be room at the cross. And yes, Jesus will still love you. And you will be able to embrace great things if you learn from your past.
How many know the Lord has great things in store for you? Look at your neighbor and say, great things. God has so many great things in store for me. Can't you see? God has so many great things in store for me. Can't you see? God has so many great things in store. Can't you see?
Learn how to embrace change. How should I embrace change? By considering what great things God has already done and acknowledge that he has even greater things in store. Heaven 600. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Lee. How you doing this
Blessed
morning?
this morning, Albert. How about you?